All right, let's talk about cybersecurity, but maybe not in the way you're used to. Forget just software and passwords for a minute. Today, we're talking about building something strong and resilient. We're going to talk about building a digital fortress.
So here's the big question, right? In a world where digital threats are popping up all the time, how does any organization actually keep itself safe? It's a question that keeps a lot of people up at night. And the answer? Well, it isn't some magic silver bullet or the latest shiny gadget. It's about having a plan, a real blueprint for your defense. And that's where this whole fortress idea comes in. Think about what makes a medieval castle so effective. It's not just one thing like a high wall, no way. It's a whole system. You've got watchtowers, you've got moats, strategically placed gates, trained guards, a clear chain of command. Well, cybersecurity, when it's done right, is exactly the same. It's a complete, well-thought-out structure.
And here's the thing about this fortress. You don't just build it and walk away. It's a living, breathing thing that needs constant attention. It's really a continuous cycle. You have to assess your surroundings, plan out your defenses, build them up, and then you have to stand on the walls and watch. And based on what you see, you improve things, and then you do it all over again.
So you might be thinking, why go to all this trouble? Well, it's because the digital world we're trying to defend is basically an unseen battlefield. There are no clear borders, no obvious front lines, and those lines are shifting every single day as new technologies come out.
I mean, just think about the sheer scale of it all. The number of potential entry points is staggering. We have to secure everything from the phone in your pocket and the smart coffee maker in the break room, all the way up to massive data centers in the cloud. Every single one of those connections is a potential door for an attacker to come knocking.
You would never, ever build a fortress without a detailed blueprint. And in cybersecurity, that blueprint is what we call governance and strategy. It's the high-level master plan that dictates absolutely everything that comes after.
You see, security can't just be this thing that lives off in a corner by itself. It has to serve the bigger mission. That's where security governance comes in. It's all about making sure your digital fortress is actually built to protect what the business truly cares about. It's about aligning your defenses with your organization's most critical goals.
So what does that actually look like? Well, a solid blueprint turns potential chaos into order. It sets crystal clear priorities so you can focus your money and your people where they'll have the biggest impact. It makes your day-to-day operations stronger, and crucially, it gets everyone, from the CEO down to the newest intern, all working together to protect the kingdom.
Okay, so we have our blueprint. We can just start building, right? Not so fast. First, you have to survey the land. And in cybersecurity, we call this risk assessment. It's all about understanding the specific dangers you're facing and, just as importantly, where your own weak spots are.
First things first, you gotta know what you're actually protecting. We call these things assets. An asset can be pretty much anything of value. Your customer list, your secret formula, your servers, your software. These are the crown jewels inside your fortress, the stuff you absolutely cannot afford to lose.
Next, you have to identify the threats. A threat is any potential source of harm. It could be that enemy army gathering at the gates, a lone spy trying to sneak into the courtyard, or even something like a hurricane heading your way. It's the what that could cause you damage. Now, here's a really critical distinction to make. A threat is an external danger. A vulnerability, on the other hand, is an internal weakness. It's that gate you forgot to lock. It's the guard who fell asleep at his post. It's the crack in the fortress wall that a threat can use to get to your crown jewels.
Let's make this super clear. Imagine a dragon is flying around your fortress. That dragon is a threat, right? It definitely has the potential to cause a lot of damage, but it only becomes a real problem if your fortress has a vulnerability, like, say, a missing brick on the wall that it can breathe fire through. See? Without that vulnerability, the threat is kind of powerless.
All right, we have our blueprint, we've surveyed the land, we know the risks. Now it's time to build. This is the part where we turn all that planning into actual, tangible defenses. The walls, the gates, and the watchtowers of our digital fortress.
In the cybersecurity world, we call these defenses controls. And a control isn't just a piece of technology. It's really any measure you take to lower your risk. It could be a company policy, a specific process you follow, or a software tool. And they generally fall into a few key categories.
So first up, you've got your technical controls. These are the digital walls and gates themselves. We're talking about things like firewalls that block incoming attacks, intrusion detection systems that act like digital watchmen on the walls, and cryptography to scramble your sensitive data so even if spies get it, they can't read it.
But of course, a fortress is totally useless without well-trained people. That's where human controls come in. This is all about training your guards. It means having security awareness programs to teach employees how to spot things like phishing emails and having really clear policies that tell people what they can and can't do on the company network.
And finally, you can't forget that a digital fortress has to be protected in the real physical world too. Physical controls are about, literally locking the doors to the treasury. This means having secure data centers, putting actual locks on server room doors, and using things like key cards to make sure only the right people can physically get near your most critical hardware.
So, the fortress is built. The walls are high, the gates are strong, the guards are trained. Our job is done, right? We can all go home? Not even close. Now, the real work begins. The constant 24/7 job of actually guarding those walls.
You see, effective defense is an active, ongoing process. You have to be constantly watching your networks for anything suspicious. You need to be able to detect an attack the moment it happens, and then you need a well-rehearsed plan to respond immediately. And the cycle isn't complete until you learn from every single incident, using that knowledge to make your defenses even stronger for next time.
And all of this brings us to what might be the single most important lesson in all of cybersecurity. The job of defending a digital fortress is never, ever finished. It's a never-ending siege.
It's that cycle of defense we saw earlier, and it just keeps on turning. You govern and plan. You assess your risks. You build your controls. You monitor and defend. And then you improve and adapt. It's a continuous loop because the threats are always evolving, and your fortress has to evolve right along with them.
Think about it. The very moment you finish building that wall, someone out there is already designing a new siege engine to knock it down. Cybersecurity isn't a state you achieve. It's a constant process of adaptation. Your defense has to evolve just as fast as the threats do.
And that leaves us with one final thought. Every organization has a digital fortress of some kind, and every single person inside that organization, whether they realize it or not, has a role to play in its defense. So the question to ask yourself is, what's yours?